I don't need to tell you who Michael Jackson was. In this video, I will talk about Michael Jackson's persistent death. I will try to talk about facts instead of conspiracy theories, that it is easier for you to understand the whole story. Michael Jackson, the world's most famous performer and king of pop, died on June 25, 2009. The cause of death was an injection of a drug called propofol. Michael Jackson's doctor, Conrad Murray, said that he had been injecting propofol to Michael Jackson for the past 60 days because Michael Jackson had trouble sleeping. Michael Jackson died at the age of 50 due to the overdose of this injection. Dr. Conrad Murray was arrested and sentenced to 4 years in prison, but he was released after spending only 2 years in jail. But friends, the story is not that simple. There is no doubt that Michael Jackson's life was in grave danger before his death. Michael Jackson thought he would be killed. On June 27, 2013, Michael Jackson's eldest son, Prince Jackson, said in an interview that Michael Jackson often talked to someone on the phone and then started crying, and then said to his son that they are going to kill me. We'll tell you later in the video who Michael Jackson used to talk to on the phone. Not only this, but 19-year-old daughter of Michael Jackson, Paris Jackson, claimed last year that Michael Jackson has been killed and his entire family knows this. She said that Michael Jackson often told her that he would be killed soon. Surprisingly, just a few weeks before his death, Michael Jackson had given 13 letters to a very close friend of his, in which he wrote that some people want to kill me and I am worried about my life. Michael Jackson's friend, who is a businessman, was present with Michael Jackson at that time, and Michael Jackson himself had given him this letter. Friends, all these things prove that Michael Jackson's life was in grave danger and he knew that he would be killed. 218. But who was in danger? Let's discuss it now. Friends, very few people know that Michael Jackson was also a businessman, and this became the biggest problem in his life. When his album Thriller was released and became a big hit, Michael Jackson was very rich. He thought at that time that this money should be invested somewhere. Like other artists, he did not want to spend the last part of his life in poverty. Michael Jackson invested all this money in buying a company called ATV Music Publishing. This company had the rights to the songs of many famous singers, including Elvis Presley and the songs of the famous band The Beatles. This was a music catalog of 4,000 songs, which was very expensive, and Michael Jackson had become the owner of these 4,000 songs. If anyone wanted to use these famous songs anywhere, it would benefit Michael Jackson. In 1984, Michael Jackson bought ATV Music Publishing for $47.5 million, which was a very big amount. After a while, he also started taking advantage of these songs and sold the Beatles song, Revolution, to the famous sports brand Nike for $500,000, which Nike had to use in its ads. Michael Jackson had become a powerful figure in the music industry. But after this, Michael Jackson started doing something that the powerful people who controlled the music industry did not like. Michael Jackson started giving some singers their rights to their songs. Most of them were black singers, because Michael Jackson felt that at that time black singers were not allowed to come up in the music industry. In addition to this, Michael Jackson started doing a lot of good things from his music catalog, which the power to control the Western music industry did not like. This is the power that keeps all the artists under its control, and Michael Jackson was now seeing this power coming out of his control. Friends, I don't want to talk about any conspiracy theory, but if you look at the cover of Michael Jackson's most famous album Dangerous, you will see an eye on the right side, which is actually a sign of Illuminati. Leave this eye to you to see what it is doing on this cover. Anyway, let's move on. Everything was going well for Michael Jackson, but then in 1995, a company called Sony Music contacted Michael Jackson and offered to mix Sony Music with Michael Jackson's ATV Music. In return, Sony Music was ready to give Michael Jackson $95 million. Michael Jackson accepted this offer, and now half of the rights to the songs he bought were of Sony Music, and Michael Jackson also had a right to the songs bought by Sony Music. Along with this, Sony Music also took the responsibility of promoting Michael Jackson's songs. Friends, but after a while, a war broke out between Michael Jackson and Sony Music. Michael Jackson thought that Sony Music was not promoting him properly and was lying to him that his albums were not selling because Sony Music wanted to financially weaken Michael Jackson so that he could sell 50% of the company to Sony Music. And this is where the destruction of Michael Jackson's life began. During this time, a case was also filed against Michael Jackson for targeting children, in which Michael Jackson had to pay $20 million to the court and settle. Michael Jackson's public image was destroyed. No company wanted to associate its name with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was also financially very weak. Michael Jackson kept saying that this was a conspiracy against him, and he blamed Tony Motola, the owner of Sony Music, for it. He even launched many rallies against Sony Music and called its owner Tony Motola a devil. Friends, the root of the real chaos was that music catalog, which now included the rights of millions of precious songs, which was half with Michael Jackson and half with Sony Music. Sony Music wanted to buy only half of Michael Jackson's music catalog, with which Michael Jackson was helping many artists, and because of that, many of the music industry's powers were unhappy with Michael Jackson. During this time, Michael Jackson also recorded his song They Don't Really Care About Us. This song was actually made by Michael Jackson against the same powers that ruled over the music industry. During this time, Michael Jackson was also drowning in heavy debts. Although he was still half owner of Sony Music, but Michael Jackson was not ready to sell his property. During this time, Michael Jackson was offered a world tour by an entertainment company called AEG. 10 shows were included in this world tour, and these shows were going to bring in a lot of money, which would make Michael Jackson financially strong. Michael Jackson signed this contract under a lot of pressure, but then AEG company demanded 50 shows from him. Michael Jackson clearly refused. His health was also not good, and according to his sister LaToya Jackson, Michael Jackson also felt that he would be killed on the stage. Friends, this company called AEG started pressurizing Michael Jackson to do 50 shows for him. And during this time, Dr. Conrad Murray was hired by AEG as Michael Jackson's doctor. This was the same doctor I told you about in the beginning of the video who gave Michael Jackson an overdose of a drug called propofol, which killed Michael Jackson. This drug called propofol was illegal. It could not go out of the hospital, but Dr. Conrad Murray started giving these injections to Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson also started taking these injections. Here the question arises that why did Dr. Conrad Murray start giving this dangerous drug to Michael Jackson? Friends, according to some people, Dr. Conrad Murray was just a pawn, and the powerful people behind him were the ones who were in danger of Michael Jackson. As I told you, these powerful people wanted to buy his songs and music catalog from Michael Jackson. And maybe because of this, different cases were made on Michael Jackson, because of which his image was destroyed. These songs and music catalogs had become a threat to Michael Jackson's life. I am not saying this myself, but according to Michael Jackson's sister LaToya Jackson, Michael Jackson used to tell her that one day I will be killed because of this music catalog. According to this, immediately after Michael Jackson's death, different powerful people started talking about buying this music catalog. For these powerful people, a dead Michael Jackson was much more valuable than a living Michael Jackson, because Michael Jackson did not want to sell his precious songs. Michael Jackson used to tell this to his close people as well. At the beginning of the video, I told you that Michael Jackson used to talk to someone on the phone and say that these people will kill me. According to his son Prince Jackson, Michael Jackson used to talk to the owner of AEG company Randy Phillips on the phone and say that these people will kill me. The same AEG company that was forcing Michael Jackson to do 50 shows and who had kept Dr. Conrad Murray as Michael Jackson's doctor. Michael Jackson's precious music catalog went to his estate after his death, in which his mother and his children were a part. Surprisingly, the Sony Music company that Michael Jackson hated, only 9 months after Michael Jackson's death, his music catalog was sold to Sony Music, and along with it, the songs of Michael Jackson that were not even released, their rights were also sold to Sony Music. Maybe that's why Michael Jackson used to say that these powers are more beneficial to my death than my survival. Friends, the question is why Michael Jackson's own daughter Paris Jackson has to say that her family knows why Michael Jackson was killed. Was the cause of Michael Jackson's death his music catalog, which contained millions of precious songs? Why was this music catalog sold to Sony Music, which Michael Jackson hated? And was Dr. Conrad Murray actually made Michael Jackson's doctor for this reason? I leave this decision to you.